Sibusiso Kotelo is a member of the Springbok Impi Warriors and a modern-day leader whose journey extends far beyond the world of fitness. Now, an IFBB Pro bodybuilder, actor, model, MC, entrepreneur, and also wellness strategist. He has also built a career centered on excellence, resilience, and also empowering others to become the best version of themselves. Well, I have him in studio. Sibusiso, welcome to Africa at Play.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So over to this. For those people who don't know Sibu, who's Sibu, and also who inspired you to be part, or rather having that courage and eagerness of becoming a bodybuilder?
Yeah, look, so first things first, Sibusiso is a servant of the Lord Jesus Christ.
Sure.
I'm a husband, I'm a dad.
Yeah.
And then all those things that were beautifully articulated about myself.
Sure.
It sounds weird actually when someone recites what I do. I'm like, geez, that guy.
No, we read. We see what you do.
I'm like, he's not doing too bad. Look, I started my journey in bodybuilding about 12 years ago. And the story goes that I was actually found by someone who was doing what I'm doing in IFBB Pro. His name is Andrew Hudson. He literally got up to me at the gym. He's like, dude, I really think you have the genetics to do this. And I didn't know what it was. This, what he meant when he said this, right? And I did my research, and turns out that I really did have the aptitude and genetics to do, bodybuilding.
Speaking with Sibusiso Kotelo on just talking about him as an individual and actually what inspired him to be who he is right now. I mean, like Sibusiso, you wear many hats. I mean, also, like I've mentioned, you are an MC, bodybuilder, actress, and also an entrepreneur. So how do you balance those things, and as well as the eagerness to be able to become a builder at the same time?
Look, it's structure, right? It's structure because bodybuilding, has taught me a lot of things that I've been able to cultivate into my own, life.
Sure.
And these those lessons, bodybuilding is a very monotonous sport, to say the least. It's a very, consistent sport. It's a sport that requires a lot of repetition. So I've been able to do that. And honestly, it's having a great team. I've been very fortunate to have a very good ecosystem. Literally from the top, my wife making sure that I'm eating right, I'm sleeping right, and then my managers making sure that I'm at the right place at the right time, like today. So I'm really blessed, and I'm very privileged to have a team around me, because a lot of people see Sibusiso Kotelo, the one person, but they don't understand it takes a team. I really don't believe in people that say they're self-made. I personally don't think there's such a thing. You need abantu,
Sure.
You know what I mean? 100%.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're also a member for the Springbok Impi Warriors. Tell us more about that.
Oh man, that's something that will always be one of the biggest honors of my life. Walking out the Springboks, they I want to say they're the most formidable team, in the world, not just rugby. A lot of people want to just box them into being rugby, but if you study those guys as just a team and what they've cultivated, absolutely exceptional.
Sure.
So being a curtain raiser for them is something, I think it's a weight and honor that I'll never lose. It's been exceptional. I mean, for the last 3 years now, walking out the Springboks, it's nothing shy of just, it's an honor. It's an honor, it's a privilege I cannot really conceptualize and put to words.
Yeah. I mean, like, I've also made a bit of research on the word Impi, which is deeply rooted in, South African heritage.
Absolutely.
So how do you carry those values as well as the discipline and also the unity into your everyday life?
Look, as you said, having done the research on the word Impi, historically it was about fighting the external. I think now about Impi, it's about the internal. It's about, going to war with yourself in order to bring out the best out of yourself. It's about courage, it's about discipline, it's about consistency, it's about making the right decisions and right choices. That's what an Impi warrior is, because, I mean, again, I'll reference back to the Springboks. Those guys, I think they're the best at what they do. Not because they're trying to beat anyone else, but because they're trying to be the best at who they are. And then it comes out as beating everyone else, which they are, right?
Sure.
So, but a lot of guys, they want to think everything is external, but it's about coming inwards, working on yourself, working on who you are, and that brings out the true Impi warrior within.
I mean, like you've mentioned a mouthful in terms of, becoming, that's warrior and
Yeah.
so forth. And of course, it's not a walk in the park
Yeah.
to be who you are right now.
Yeah.
Tell us about the challenges. Of course, you face challenges
No,
within this.
of course. I mean, and I think that's the spirit of the Impi warrior, is being able to face those difficulties, but rising up again, time and time again. We all face challenges. We all face, difficulties. But a true warrior, a true Impi warrior, is someone who stands back up after the pressure of lives want to keep you down.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, also, I'm so sorry. I'm just reading it at the same time.
I can see your
Yeah,
intrigueness.
yeah. I mean, like, many people also associate
Yeah.
fitness with appearance,
Right.
but you often speak about wellness and performance.
Yeah.
So, why is it important to focus most importantly on your well-being?
Look, I mean, it has to be at the core of it. You're trying to be healthy, right?
Sure.
I think the aesthetics, yes. I mean, I'm in a very aesthetics sport, but at the core of it, we here to help people be healthy. We're here to help people make sure that they're the best at what they do. So for me, it's always been about wellness. It's always about being longevity. It's all about being, giving someone the impact, or rather the tools to have an impactful life. And sometimes that doesn't look like a six pack. You know what I mean? Sometimes it just looks like your health markers come back from the doctor and you're healthy. If you have a six pack along the way, great, you've done good for yourself. But I always say that must not be the goal. The goal is to be healthy. The goal is wellness. The goal is to be able to walk around and chase your 3-year-old around the park.
Yeah.
The goal is to be able to carry your wife up the stairs in a romantic night. And again, if it cultivates as a six pack, then congratulations, you've done well.
My goodness.
So that's always about being how you live. How's your livability? Are you optimizing your health at the best of your capabilities?
Sure.
Yeah.
So how long does it take? Or, I mean, like, I'm sure there's one person who's interested in
course.
becoming, probably be part of the Impi Warriors and also becoming a bodybuilder. So
Yeah.
how long does it actually?
Look, the bodybuilding journey is a very long one. It's so long that I'm currently going through it. It's a journey that really, for the most of us, I don't think it stops, right? Because if you look at the word itself, it's bodybuilding. You're building your body. So I also believe everyone is a bodybuilder. Funny enough, whether you, as you said earlier, whether you're trying to have a six pack, whether you're trying to be healthy, we're always forming. We're always informed by what we're trying to do with our bodies. But to go back to your question, bodybuilding, in order to be a professional, you're looking at about 8 to 10 years to get to, at the peak of being a pro. Where now you're going into the professional space and you're actually taking up space, because now you've built a physique worthy enough for people to go, oh my word, that's a great physique. It takes time. It's consistency. It's a lot of eating. It's a lot of training. It's a lot of monotonousness, as I said.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, like, let's talk about a bit of equality within that sporting figment. Are there actually women who are?
Absolutely, and they are thriving.
Oh.
And absolutely, yeah. In my federation, I think we have 4 divisions for women, and they're absolutely thriving. What I've been seeing, though, and I love this to bits, I'm seeing more black women coming into the space and taking up space.
Sure.
And I absolutely love that, and definitely there's women bodybuilding, there's fitness bodybuilding, there's beach bikini bodybuilding. And in fact, I stand corrected, but I think in South Africa we actually have more IFBB Pro females than we do males. Yeah, they're taking up space, and I'm incredibly proud of them, man.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, or rather talk to me about the Gold's Gym Sandton trainer. I mean, like, you're a leading trainer, right?
Yeah, well, I'm one of the trainers at Gold's Gym. It's a phenomenal look. I always describe Gold's, for me, when I got there, it's a community of people that are like-minded. It's a community of people that are excelling outside the Gold's Gym, but they bring that mentality within. And it's always about, pushing each other. In fact, I'll tell you a quick story. I remember I was at the gym and we had a guy who was trying to lose weight. So we kind of like saw his morning routine. He'd come to the gym, he'd get the treadmill on incline, and he'd take a sandbag and he'd walk. This one day, we all saw as trainers that you can tell when a client is a bit flat.
Sure.
Energy-wise. So he gets there and he starts walking. So myself and another trainer called Pelo, we look at each other. We're like, well, this guy today doesn't have his sandbag.
Yeah.
So Pelo goes, drags the sandbag across, gives it to him, and the whole gym. And that for me was why I decided that Goals is my home, because for a split minute, the whole gym stood still and we watched this guy get on the treadmill with his sandbag and we actually gave him an applause. And it was because of the community. We all here to make sure that you are working at the best of your ability.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, you're balancing a lot right here into your life. And then obviously you're here with your family. Tell me a bit more. How much impact do they have within, your career?
A lot, man. Oh, man, my incredible wife, she's a little rocket pocket there.
Yeah.
Intelligent, smart woman.
My
she challenges me. She stretched me. She's made me see further than what my nose could see, and that's when you know you've got the right woman, right?
Wow.
And then my sons are incredible boys. Unfortunately, I couldn't bring my other son here. He's not feeling well. But yeah, man, my two boys, incredible little boys, and my family's everything, you know. In fact, one of my mentors said something. I was watching a video because he was preaching, and he said, you know, life is about juggling balls, right? And when you juggle these balls, you know, as you said, entrepreneur, this, that, and the other. The one ball that is a glass ball is family. You know, so the other balls, imagine they're the rubber balls. These balls will always bounce back. If I don't see my mates for 6 months, I know, we still love each other, but that will always bounce back. You know, but I can't drop the ball that is my family, because that one is glass. If that one hits the floor and it breaks, my being breaks. So my family's everything, you know. My boys, they absolutely everything. My wife is my entire world.
My goodness.
So I'm a product of my family.
Wow, such powerful words, right? That you're a product of your family.
100%. It's the family that I come from and the family that I'm trying to have.
Sure. I mean, like, Sibusiso, just to continue our conversation, do you actually see a growing interest of bodybuilding in South Africa?
Absolutely. I absolutely see that. It's a growing industry. And I've seen, I mean, when I turned pro, I think there was only about 4 or 5 of us that were pros at the time.
Sure.
This is 2018. So a couple of years later, I think now there's about 35 of us. Look, the margins are not as big as we'd want them to be, but those numbers also showing that the industry is growing. And there's been a lot of companies now coming towards and stepping up and supporting bodybuilders. You know, I'm privileged enough that I've got a partnership with Pick and Pay. And I've now dropped my Impi line as well with them. That's the t-shirt I'm wearing today.
Oh, wow. Where's ours?
You know what? Let me tell you something. Let me tell you. We got the sizes wrong, but they're coming. I promise you. They gave me the wrong sizes, but when I got you, I realized we need to get the sizes right. So, you know, the industry is growing. There's a lot of companies that are stepping up and joining. You know, Jeep is also one of my sponsors that came aboard. So it's a growing industry, you know. Sure. It's a growing industry, and it's lovely to see more people coming into the space. Sure. You know, I've always said as well, when I turned pro, when I was, you know, at the time I was the first Black South African pro to do it, I was like, I have an obligation to make sure that I'm not the only, you know, because a lot of guys, you know, when they become the first, they close the door behind them. You know, I wanted to make sure that the door was open, because subsequently, about 6 months later, a very good friend of mine became IFBB Pro, Muzi Maluleka, and he's doing incredibly well. I love that boy to bits. So it's a growing industry. There's more of us. There's Tumsani Dlodlo also became pro. So there's a couple of us that are now, you know, being in there, being active pros and growing the sport.
Sure, it's a growing industry, but is it receiving enough exposure? I mean, like, of course, we might have an interest also within our local communities, but there's a bit of a lack of resources.
100%. And I've always said, you know, South Africa had a lot of talent. I also think, not even think, I know, there's guys that are way better than me, you know, in bodybuilding, talented. I just think, you know, resources was one of the things that made a lot of guys, you know, maybe not pursue the career. But as I said, you know, now the industry is growing. A lot of people are starting to look up and be like, okay, these guys, you know, are there. I do believe there's more companies that can step in and it can grow, because there are other countries that are miles and heads ahead of us, and not because of anything else, but because, you know, their supports and the structures are there. Some countries literally see bodybuilding as a professional sport, the same way they see a rugby player, the same way they see a soccer player, you know. So I think, you know, it's going to get there. And it's also our obligation to the guys that are currently active pros at the time to ensure that we also are achieving at the highest level, so people can actually notice. You know what I mean?
Sure.
100%.
So just take me through, you know, the whole process and the knowledge and the structure in terms of, are they I mean, like in football, there's leagues.
Yes.
So in bodybuilding,
there's federations.
There's federations.
Yes,
so
yes,
are there
yes.
enough federations? Probably.
Absolutely, absolutely. There are. You know, there's IFBB Pro League, which is the one IFBB Pro League. That's the one I'm in. There's a couple of other leagues, you know, and a lot of guys are competing, you know, in those spaces. But yeah, the one that normally a lot of guys look at is my one, because that's the one that sends you to Mr. Olympia, which is basically the FIFA World Cup of bodybuilding.
Okay, just before probably we wrap up our conversation, I'm actually intrigued to know and also to understand government intervention. So how important is government intervention? Are they actually doing enough?
Look, they used to be very involved. SASCOC was a very huge component
They used to be.
Yeah, but not as much anymore, unfortunately, you know, and because also I think when the federation itself has a bit of destabilization, it's hard for government to step in. But I think governments can definitely do more work there. You know, one of my biggest dreams is actually bringing in a pro show into South Africa. That's one of my long dreams, you know. So if I had, you know, governments coming in and maybe you would partner up in that, I think that would be amazing, because a lot of guys have seen Samson Dauda. I mean, I've trained with him. I'm a very good friend of mine, but I'm sure guys would love to see him in my own background. You know, there's a few names that, I mean, Andrew Jack would have loved to be in South Africa, but unfortunately, you know, we need the funding to make sure that these things happen. And it's those kind of things that will make the industry grow and make a lot of people actually pay attention.
I know that I said that was my last question. I mean, like,
of course, let's go.
Something just came up in terms of your success story. So what type of legacy are you hoping to leave behind, and how should people remember you as well as you holding so many caps? You're an entrepreneur. How important as an athlete in South Africa to actually be an entrepreneur and not just only focus on, should I say, one source of income? Or,
Look, I mean, when you're in the sport, first things first that I had to learn, I didn't really have a blueprint of what this looks like. So I had to create the blueprints as I went along. Part of it is actually doing stuff like this. You know, I'm actually an introvert by nature, you know, but I had to learn how to do public speaking. I had to learn how to speak. So that part of it. So the biggest components is actually forming a brand. And as you said, what does your brand stand for? My brand stands for courage, discipline, consistency, having a mental aptitude of going out there and trying to make sure that you are showing up at the best of your capabilities. You know what I mean? And in your private space, you're going into with yourself to make sure that you're bringing the best out of you. That's the whole, you know, premise about the brand. And as more guys, I think, start to understand what they live for and actually live that, and that's when brand then come across and are able to associate it's basically what you stand for, because a lot of guys go to the gym but they don't really have a plan as to what it looks like. You know, I think I've been fortunate, as I said, to have a team around me. We know what exactly the brand is and what it speaks to and what it speaks about, you know. So it's been an ongoing journey, still going through the journey, and it's been beautiful to see and unpack.